Welcome back to Sports Federation TV. My name is Alton Davids. I'm your host. The show where we talk about a range of different codes of sport, brought to you by the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. We chatted to athletics. We do something slightly different. We talk fly fishing. You're right? I don't know much about fly fishing, and I'm sure you know a lot less than I do about fly fishing. Let's talk to Tim. Tim, you well?
I'm very well, thanks, Alton.
Good. Leonard, you all good?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. What is fly fishing? Is it the fish that flies and we catch it? I'm an idiot. Explain what's fly fishing.
Fly fishing is actually basically using a rod, 9 foot up to 11 foot, and we're using a fly line that is weighted and it's got a leader attached to it, and you're actually using artificial nymphs. So we actually use that to cast in the rivers, or we do a sea fishing, and yeah, as I said, basically using that artificial method of catching fish.
Tim, is this only, where do you practice this? Is it in a dam? Is it in a river? Is it in the ocean? How does it work?
We prefer to fish rivers. Most of our national competition are based on river fishing with sessions on a still water as well. And it's all freshwater related. Some of them are in the Orange River and the Vaal, fishing for yellowfish. But also we tend to target trout as the other species.
So how does it work? Leonard, I go out and I cast my line, I pick up a trout. What do I do with it then?
Basically, it depends on if you're doing a competition, for example. You actually bring the fish in, and then you'll have a marshal that come to you and you actually will measure the fish, look at the size of the fish, and the weight. And then based on that, you'll get points. So in your session that you're fishing, you need to catch as much fish as possible, and based on that, you get your points.
So what's the definition of a session? How long is a session? You talk about a session.
Is about 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 hours.
3 hours.
And Tim, when I've caught this trout, what do I do with it? Do I put it in a bucket to keep it alive? Do I take it home? What happens to this thing?
You net it.
Yeah.
And then you take the net with the fish to the marshal. He removes the fish, makes sure that it's been caught fairly in the mouth.
Oh, so you don't remove the hook, nothing?
No, you're not allowed to. That competition angling, you can't. And then he would measure the fish in a gutter, which has got a tape measure in it, and then put the fish back in your net, and then you take it straight back to the water, and then you're entitled to take the fish out of the net and release it.
So it's a catch and release system. It's not a catch, take home, make a braai, let's have dinner.
We fish with hooks that are debarbed for that very purpose. That we don't want to injure the fish that we catch. We want to release them for another day for somebody else to catch them.
So what happens if I catch something other than trout? Let's say we're in a trout competition. Where will we do this firstly? Let's create a scenario. Where will we do this?
You see, if you before you start, they will actually give you guidelines of what fish will qualify as a catch.
Okay.
So if there are fish that are being caught that is not part of the list, then you can actually release it because it doesn't count for
makes sense
for your points.
How successful are you in getting the youth to come through the program in Boland fly fishing?
So far we've done very well. We actually, from a Boland point of view, we've actually started back in 2008. We attended our first nationals in Kamberg and KZN, and from there we actually did very well. We actually became championships in nationals 5 times from 2009 to 2014, and from there we got medals in silver medals and bronze medals. Further, also the guys have done very well is where they have become, we actually got 14 pro-tier anglers from our squad, and also 5 members that got SASA colours. So the guys are doing very well. The guys are enjoying it, and you can see some of the guys actually became professional guides, and also applying back to the sport again.
Nice. We're chatting fly fishing, we're chatting to Tim and to Leonard. Leonard, you spoke about plowing back. Tim, tell us about the project that you guys do up the road here where you clean the rivers. Tell us how that whole thing came about and where about and what was the success rate?
The project was actually initiated by the Cape Piscatorial Society, which we're both members, but we encourage involvement mainly from the youth. Like we will encourage our Boland juniors to join the day where we go to the small block mainly, because you won't believe the filth that is deposited along the banks of the river. I mean, it's quite incredible. And they spend the day collecting all this rubbish and then putting it in a plastic bag and leaving it in a spot for Cape Nature to remove. So it's a tremendous initiative. I think the youngsters, you know, they get to appreciate more about the environment and keeping it pristine. You know.
Because exactly what you're saying, it's about plying back and it's about getting them to understand that it's not theirs. It's not their environment. They're mere visitors in there. How has the drought affected your sport in the Western Cape?
It had quite a large effect on the fishing because the water is very low. Then the fishing is just getting very bad. It's very difficult for us and as well as for the fish itself because they can't survive in that very low waters and the hot heat. So it was very difficult.
And in terms of growth, how has the sport grown over the last couple of years, Tim? Do you think there's a greater influx of people? Do you think people know more about fly fishing now?
I'd say so, especially amongst the youth. We've got about 15, 16 youth anglers in Boland Club alone, and then Western Province have also got good anglers as well that have come through their ranks in the youth. So yeah, it's developing nicely, and the seniors as well. I mean, I can tell you that in the Cape Piscatorial Society, we must have a membership base of 650 members. Not all fish regularly, but you know, at least they're involved in the sport.
For sure.
Yeah.
Leonard, I know you guys did a project in Gauteng. Tell us a bit about that. What happened there?
Yeah, we actually got involved with Gauteng High School. We got boys and girls involved, and we actually done some angling clinics with them to get them to understand what is fly fishing all about. And yeah, it was awesome. The guys and the ladies were really keen to enjoy this new sport, and and some of the members actually became a part of our team. They went to nationals.
Nice.
So it was an excellent interaction with them. We want to actually go to more schools to actually try and get more pupils involved. It's just important to get the youth involved because I mean they are the future of the sport.
For sure.
And I can add that one of the youngsters, Rewalton Daniels, is the head boy of Gauteng High School this year. So we'd like to, you know, claim a bit of credit for that. But he's a wonderful youngster.
Because that's what sport does. Sport empowers people to improve who they are.
Absolutely.
It gives them time skills, it gives them self-leadership, it teaches them a whole range of different skills, which all add into the big picture of who we are as human beings and as students.
Correct.
Tim, how would I get to know, if I want to start fly fishing, what would be the first thing I would need to do?
Well, you could contact us as a club, you could contact me, and I can aim you in the right direction. In terms of fishing, the rivers, you would need to either become a permanent member of the Cape Piscatorial Society, or you can be a temporary member. You can phone the secretary, and he can, you know, help you. He can aim you in the right direction as to where you can fish, because the rivers are all split into beats, and you get allocated a beat on a specific river, and then only you can fish that beat for that day. So it's very professionally managed, and
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So explain this beat. Is it kilometer based or how?
Roughly a kilometer. Some are physically very demanding, like the elandspad.
Yep.
If you have to fish beat 4 and 5, it's a good hour before you even start fishing. So and the path does this, you know, all the way up. So it's physically very demanding sport, you know.
You don't just wade into the water and just play with a rod and hope that you're gonna succeed.
Well, some of the beats are a lot easier to fish, but generally our rivers in the Cape, you've got to be prepared to get in the river and slip and slide, because the rocks are very slippery. So we all have our falls, and but the point I'm trying to make is it's physically demanding.
But every time you go out, it's never a dull day, because you never know what you're gonna catch or which beat you're on, and how exciting the beat will be.
And I think we just love the sport because of the environment. We head up the river, and if we catch fish, it's a bonus. But just being on the river, enjoying the whole environment, the birds and whatever else is there.
The mountains, baboons that you sometimes meet along the way.
And
the human ones or the other ones?
And the other ones.
But I think the other point I want to make is we always fish with a mate, generally.
Good.
Because if you fall and break a leg, you need somebody to help you get out. And it's happened. So, that's another thing we'd like to tell any prospective angler. If they're going to go and walk up the Elandspad, they must go with somebody.
Never mind just Elandspad, just anywhere in general.
Anywhere.
Tim, Leonard, it was fun. Thank you. I know a little bit more about fly fishing. There's a lot more I'd like to know. We'd like to invite you back at some point to come tell us more. Thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa.
Thank you.
Let's take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting Boland rugby. See you now.